Hi, everyone. I wanted to respond to this assignment and give everyone the same response with my own personal response to this activity. So I was exposed to this exercise when I was the inaugural chair of the Human Relations Commission in Gilbert in 2001. And I was drawn to apply for this committee, being a part of my community, because the Devil Dogs um, had been a recent gang that had really terrorized the Gilbert community. And I'm going to liken the Devil Dogs to the Gilbert Goons. It was a group of young men who were into this fight club mentality. I mean, ironically, 24 years later, this ugly behavior has resurfaced. And we had the same kind of response here as we did back in 2001, where there was an effort by some to want to sweep it under the rug. Boys will be boys, until we had the death of Preston Lord. I'm just now making that connection as I'm, sharing this activity with you. So, as a member of the Human Relations Commission, we engaged in dialogue circles. And in the dialogue circles, we were attempting to understand the changing demographics in this community that had previously been a very rural town of about 10,000 people in 1990. And by the time I got there in 2001, we had grown to about 100,000 people. And now in 2024, we're over 200,000 people there in the town of Gilbert. So there was some real rapid change. And we went from a small agrarian, people could ride their horses, with two dominant religions and two dominant ethnicities. The dominant religions were the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Catholic Church. And then the two dominant ethnicities were Anglo-Saxon, Caucasian, white, or Mexican, Hispanic, Latina, Latinx. Those are the two dominant groups that were there. So it was really some rapid change. So we created this activity in an effort to see if we could get people to come together. Now, ironically, the people who attended this dialogue circle were people who were much more open-minded, people who were much more interested in diversity, and they tended to not have a belief that others were really different. And I remember being kind of challenged by that because we weren't getting the people who were the ones who believed it was okay to attack people on the basis of their ethnicity or on the basis of the way that they worshipped. So really challenging times for our town. So I was really concerned when I moved there, and I was moved to join this committee. So when I look at these, I'm going to give you my honest responses. Now, I grew up in a small, predominantly farming community in Northern California. Our two dominant ethnicities were Portuguese Italian and or white, but most folks claim their Portuguese Italian heritage. And then it was very Catholic oriented, Catholic and evangelical. There weren't a lot of other faiths that were represented there. And it was very agricultural. We had a real rural kind of future farmers feel to most of my community. Um, I was one of the few Black families that lived there. And I also had, some differences in speeches and mannerisms. I've always spoken the way that you hear me speaking now. My mother was a college graduate. She actually graduated when she had us as kids after she divorced my father. And she was a pillar in the community. She was a probation officer for um, juvenile court, and she also was an accomplished jazz and blues singer. So it was a very interesting position that my mother occupied in this town. So when I look at the responses that I feel most drawn to this part of my identity, I'd really say it's my role as an educator, that my ability. I really think a lot about who I am as a teacher and what my opportunities are there and what my roles are there. Really a lot about instruction, a lot about community engagement. And I really think that comes from my mom and the way that she modeled things for me. When I think about the most personal struggle or changes around this part of my identity, I really think it's coming more into my own as a Black woman. Growing up, straight hair was the norm. You wanted to look white. You wanted to have straight hair. That was the beauty that was provided to me. That was the image of beauty. It was also in the I graduated high school in 1981, and so there was a real lack of appreciation for diversity. As I've gotten older, I've really embraced more of it, namely around my hair. So right now, what you're seeing with my hair is what's called a sew-in crochet. In 2020, when COVID hit, I went from straightening my hair with chemical processes to wearing my hair natural. So you've seen some of my screencasts where you saw my natural hair, which is, ooh, I love the opportunities with it. And it takes a lot of tender loving care. And with me getting ready to go on a lot of trips this summer, I decided to take the easy route and get my hair French braided or cornrowed underneath. And then I have these locks that are sewn in. It'll be a lot easier than having to worry about carrying product and shampoo. I mean, I'll be able to do a little shampoo on the inside, but I won't have to have gel, and I won't have to have all the things that I normally need for my hair. So I've really gotten a lot more comfortable. I've known a lot about my ethnic heritage. I'm still learning more about my ethnic heritage. On Saturday, I'm headed back to DC, and we're looking at the African American experience. We're looking at Juneteenth. We're looking at teaching about various aspects of Black history and Black culture, and with the intent to help this group of teachers learn how to teach it in such a way that we don't have some of the divisiveness or tensions, that when you have that Black child in your room, they're not feeling like the only history they have is the history of slavery. And when you have that white child in the room and you have children who are Black talking about some of the lived experiences, that we don't have the situation where kids are going, well, don't blame me, I wasn't there. And I know I'm probably preaching to the choir that we could all tap into that. And then we also have, well, what about other ethnic groups? What about the indigenous folks? 2 years ago, I went and I did the Westward Experience from an indigenous perspective, and that was eye-opening to me. What I didn't know about Native Americans in this country, and lots of information that's coming out lately. And then last year, the group went to the territories and looked at Puerto Rico and what it meant to be a Commonwealth. I didn't go on that trip. I skipped that one. I don't like water, but I'm jumping back in for this one. So really, I've experienced the most personal struggle and changes is around my ethnicity and hair, and feeling more comfortable expressing that I am a Black woman, and there's nothing that I have to whisper about or I have to hide in terms of my ethnicity. And there's a lot I have to be proud of when I look at the opportunities that my people in that ethnic group created for me to have the life that I have today. When I think about what identity has the most effect on how people treat me, that's a tough one. I really think probably ability, and this comes more in terms of how I view myself. I really view myself with a great deal of confidence, and I'm also a very straightforward speaker. I don't think it's a good idea to couch behind niceties or to worry about not being offensive. I'm not going to try to offend you, but I'm not going to hide what I think about things. And when I speak my truth, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm speaking my truth with the hopes that you speak your truth. And when we're being honest with each other and we're talking about issues that we really feel are important or powerful, then I think that we're going to have a better understanding and we're going to move forward in much more productive ways. So I think it's really again about ability. I have a lot of self-confidence, good, bad, or indifferent, and sometimes that can be difficult for people to interact with someone who speaks their piece and speaks their truth. And then when I have a lot to do to grow in this part of my personal identity, I think it's going to be ability again. Um, I feel that I I need to really acknowledge that not everyone has the level of confidence that I do. And this has just been something I've been coming to lately. Um, I'm getting old, and it's funny, as you get older, you get more confident, you get more, sure of yourself. And even as I'm more confident and sure with speaking my truth, that, I've been there, done that, I also am becoming more aware of the fact that other people need a little bit more nurturing than what I might ordinarily do. It doesn't happen necessarily in my teaching because, again, I'm most drawn to my role as a teacher, so I naturally feel that I have to be super nurturing, that I'm accepting that role. But when I'm outside of that role, I'm beginning to realize that there's some things I can do to really grow and to really change. When I think about the others, I've felt really comfortable. But again, I'm 61 years old. When you get to be this age, there's a lot of things that you really reconcile with yourself. I'm comfortable with my ethnicity and my race and my being a black woman. And I because I've experienced a lot of changes. Now I'm a much more comfortable person. Not always. Religion, I'm really comfortable in how I identify myself in a faith-based way. I definitely identify more as a Christian and as a person who believes in that role of religion. However, I'm having a lot of trouble with organized religion, particularly evangelical churches right now. So I really separate my faith and my identity there from what I see as organized religion. So again, speaking my truth, not to knock anybody else's experiences. Really comfortable with my role as a woman. I love being a mother. Absolutely love it. Um, I identify as heterosexual, very comfortable with that. I'm very comfortable with my age. Hit me in another 20 years, though. That might be different. I'm so blessed to be in the socioeconomic status that I'm in right now. I've been at this profession for 40 years, for 33 years in the public setting, and so my income has gotten better. It's gotten really much more comfortable for me. So I'm really good there. And then citizen national origin. There are definitely times, especially if I travel abroad and I meet people from other countries who seem to have more language, being multilingual. Sometimes I'm frustrated that my country doesn't value that. When I find that people outside of my country know more about the world than members of my own country. Sometimes I'm a little bit frustrated by that, and I'm a little bit embarrassed by that, that I don't feel like we sometimes keep up, that we should have the best education system in the world. We should have multilingual folks. We should educate our students so that they are globally aware. But I think sometimes we really focus narrowly on our particular country and culture. Yes, it's important, and it's important to recognize that we are members of a global community. We need to know what's happening, and we need to know why things are happening. So it's a really long response. Hopefully, you are okay listening to it. But I just wanted to let you know my own responses to this question. Who am I really?